In today's episode, we'll look at how to build a natural-looking bus station using mainly park assets. So stay tuned. Hi guys, I'm ExactChaos and welcome back to another episode of City Skylines. We're playing in the lovely little town of Prospect Valley. And in the last episode, I built this bypass, and I did fix it up a little bit in between episodes. Thank you so much for your for your comments, and for keeping me honest. It was, in fact, it was a bit of a mistake over here, which I have subsequently gone and corrected. So these connections straight through here was not allowed, and so we weren't getting any through movement through here. Now we are getting through movement through here, and it's working quite well. I think I've also added some of the line markings and so on. It's very basic over here, but it should work pretty well for the time being. At some point in the future, we're probably going to upgrade that again, but for now, I'm quite comfortable to retain it as is. Now, a few other things that we're going to do in this episode. I'm going to fill in a little bit more zoning. So what I've done is I've put a little bit more road layout in place over here, and then ultimately, what we're going to do is go and build our first university campus out over there. And a part of that, I will look a little bit at how you build a natural-looking bus station. So we're going to try and build our own kind of bus station in that area with the campus, of course, and see how that works out. Not necessarily use an asset, but build something from scratch to see how we can make that work. Okay, so let's quickly, I'm probably going to do this in a little bit of a time lapse, quickly do the zoning over here. So I'm back, did a bit of zoning there, so hopefully our population is going to start increasing again. We've kind of dropped that residential demand. I've popped in a few chunks of commercial in between every now and again, just to keep an eye on that. Now let's quickly move on over and start working on our campus. So if we have a look at our campus, what I think we're going to do, we've got options here, which is a trade school, a liberal arts college, and a university campus, and then we've got varsity sports and museums and things like that. I think what makes logical sense, if we're co-locating with this hydroelectric power plant over here, then I think a trade school with like engineering and those kind of things is probably about the right thing for us to do. So we've got some cool buildings over here. Obviously, the whole thing is unlocked. Not at the police academy at first, not the tourism and travel. Maybe the School of Engineering is something we're after. What do we have here? Volleyball club, media lab, bookstore, laboratories. So maybe laboratories is something that's quite cool as well in this kind of environment. And then it's just kind of an auditorium. But there's a few other bits and pieces and buildings all around that we can use. Obviously, we've got our main administration building. And I'm kind of thinking somewhere close to the river over here. But let's see about what our road network is going to is going to look like. Now, I think ultimately we'll want to get a new road connection and probably multiple road connections to the university itself. But I think for the time being, we're just going to try and maximize the use of our road over here. So what I'll do is, as a starting point, I'm going to go and upgrade this road to something that's a little bit more sensible. So if I just grab a very standard, well, the question is, do we just go straight up to that 4-lane approach at the moment? I think let's do that. Just indicate that we're doing something slightly larger, shall we say. So let's just get our standard, well, not standard, the small one. We don't have a small one here, do we? The 4-lane. No, so the 4-lane is in here, and that's the 4-lane right there. So let's quickly go about upgrading this, and I'll go about upgrading that, of course, as well. I will then definitely have to come back and redo the speed limits and things like that on this section of road. But I think that's a good indicator that this is becoming a a stronger regional corridor and going to carry a little bit more traffic to some of the areas. Obviously, it's already serving the industrial area, and I would be keen to see how we then serve the university. And I'm kind of tempted to run the university's exit from here. And again, we could do something like a roundabout or just a signalized intersection. So I'm going to go ahead and upgrade all the way till there, but I think the new university access point is going to be somewhere over here. So what I'm interested in is something boulevard, something tree-lined, something like that. Maybe we can look at something with bus lanes. I've no idea if that's going to be a standard feature. So if we do something like that, we'll have bus lanes straight away. And maybe that's not a bad idea. But since we're going to plan on building a nice bus station over here, maybe that's exactly the kind of stuff that we'd like to do. So we've got a bit of a hillside happening over here in this specific location. So I think what we can do is see about splitting it off over here, starting the first little section as a straight section, just so that, and let's do it up to 10 so that in the future we have a bit of room to do some upgrades. And then I'm going to move on over to the, what is this tool called? The freeform road tool to try and hug the hillside a little bit more. Not too aggressively though. So something like that I think is about right. And then I'm going to try and run this by the riverside down something like this. Again, somewhat straight, somewhat freeform. That's kind of the idea. So I think that is about right. Let's have a look. Yeah, it's not too bad. It's a slight, kind of hillside that we've got going on over here. But I think that's a pretty good start for us. So what I want to do is let's start it off by getting that administration building in here. So if we put the administration building right in here and we then put a road on the other side maybe. So let's do a little bit of terraforming. These are bigger buildings. You just need to make sure that you've got the right level set. So let's take the road level, which is at about 323, up that brush size just a tad, and we'll just kind of do this. See, this is the thing. So if you don't do this and make the room for it, you would have ended up with a bit of a disaster here. So I'm going to try and keep it pretty natural right over there. And you'll see we'll smooth that thing over once we've placed what we needed to place over here. I might actually do the other side as well, and we'll get a little bit more of a natural, let's do that. A little bit of a natural feature in this area. Now, let's place the building that we're after. So I'm after this one. Ooh, there's like only a little spot for it. I think that's the spot right there. Place that and let's see how that turned out. Rosewood Career Institute. That's pretty good. Over here next to the river, next to the hillside, with some natural trees over here. So that's pretty good too. I'll pause the game for the time being till we sort out the rest. Now, going from here, what can we do in terms of tree-lined roads that's not necessarily as big as that one? Or do we just go, or do we do the same thing straight away? We just do the same thing again? I'm not opposed to that. I'm not opposed to that. So let's do that. The nice big boulevards thing is something that I do like. So let's run that up to there. So that'll have I'm hoping that has a pretty natural drop there. It's really quite good actually. It's really quite good. I don't mind that. We can smooth this out. So now with these things placed, let's get the terraform tools yet again, and we'll smooth things out a little bit. So we'll soften the terrain a little bit in this area. Yeah, that's exactly what we were doing. So it's not these massive cliffs that we're seeing here. We're just softening the terrain a little bit to try and that's getting a little too close. So that's probably a little bit problematic. We'll do that. And at the same time, we'll just soften this terrain over here. Look at that. Look at how natural it ended up being. And it could have been a bit of a disaster in that location also. Okay, so with that in mind, I think this is the starting point. And I think I would like us to do our bus station in this kind of location over here. However, do note that it's not, while this is the administrative building, the campus will probably be a pretty large campus over here. So let's quickly do that. Let's go ahead and expand our campus size. And you can start putting your comments in your name suggestions in the comments down below. The Rosewood Career Institute is not quite what I'm after. We're looking for something along the field of prospect, pioneer, hope, future, that kind of thing. That's the kind of theme of our naming convention over here. So if you have a name for a university or a trade school or an institute of some sort that matches that description, then please have at it in the comments down below. Okay, so now we'll start zoning this thing a little bit wider. We might take a little bit of the industrial area. Up next to the industrial area for a trade school, I think makes a lot of sense. So let's start it out as a starting point, something like this. And we'll probably have to expand it at some point, as there's a lot of buildings, and we don't want to make it too dense, of course, because that's not in keeping with what's happening in our city in general. Okay, so now we've got that in place. Now it's about time to start looking at the type of bus station that we'd like to have. And I'm kind of wondering whether a bus station slotted in this area over here is a good idea. So what kind of roads do we have available so that we can start building a bus station with it? And obviously these will be bus-only roads. So obviously you can do the assets, the standard assets like these and those, and they work pretty well. And even these, I think, are intercity bus terminal, intercity bus station, and a bus station in general, but they're just not as natural in this kind of context. I'd rather we take up some of these roads, and it could be one way or not. I think two way is probably about the right thing for us to do. So something that makes a lot of sense as a bus station. Do we have 3 lanes? I'm just kind of wondering, do we have a 3-lane bus option? That's just a smaller one. We don't have a 3 solid lanes, I think. No, we've got wider, but then it's only a bus lane on the one. So if we're just going to do like a bit of a bus road, then that's about it. So let's see how this goes. I've not quite planned this out, but these are some of the it looks very similar to some of the bus stations that we've got in the city of Perth, where I live in Western Australia. And so let's have a look at what we can do with that. Okay, hang on. Is that? I don't mind that. How many bus stations can we get on something like bus stops? I mean, can you get on something like that? It's a pretty tiny little bus road, actually. Is there anything that's a little wider than that? That's still just a bus road. That's just the one unit. No, I think that's about the standard that we can get. We could, of course, make it 2-way. Yes, we could, of course, make it 2 one-way options, and we can just run them very close to one another. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and do that. If we do... I just want to... What I do want to do, though... We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Don't worry about it. So let's run one into this direction. Up to about there. Yeah, I think that's the right call. That's absolutely the right call. And what we'll do is we'll go ahead and upgrade these ones in the other direction. That's good. And now what we're going to need to do is actually provide us with a bit of a roundabout type situation. The turnaround facility for the buses is what I'm after here. Okay, up to about there. Well, actually, what we'll do is we'll run it from this side up to there, and then we'll just do that, and we'll link them together. I think that's about... No. Don't do that. Don't snap. Here we go. And what we'll do is we'll tie these together. I think that's going to be about right. Is that on it's on a bit of a hill, but I think that's okay. It actually works really well. Then we'll do a very similar thing on this side. Let's just make sure we get our curve tools in place. So we'll do about that way. Actually, hang on. Let's redo that very quickly. It seems like, okay, so we're going out 4 out over there. And then, is that, No, it's probably about that one. Okay, there we go. And up to about there. To about there. I think the other one might be a tad off, actually. Up to there. And can I? No, don't snap. Go over there, and we'll tie you together with a straight line over there, and that's about right. So let's look at this again. I think it's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. Obviously, it does not have to be perfect. Let's just make sure that we've got the maneuvers in the right directions. Okay, and similarly, these ones need to just turn around. There we go. And what I can do is now I'm going to use the. Let's just get out of this for the time being. Get out of there, and we'll go and get the node. What is this called? Node controller, and we'll pop into these nodes over here. So that's fine. That's a bend. But what I want to do is just make it a little bit more natural. Yeah, that's what I'm after. So I'm getting what's happened. That's a little weird. That getting a little too much? Yeah, something like that. So let's just do 20 meters. 20 meters feels like the right one for me. We'll do 20 meters up on this one too. And we could also do crossings at some point, but that's okay. So that's a bit of a turnaround facility at the end there. Making that curve a little bit more natural for a bus movement is a good call. We always want to try and do that. That's pretty natural, I think. And we'll do this one up to that same 20 meters. So that's pretty good. I like that. So that worked out quite nicely. So now with that in mind, the next thing that we would like to do is make sure that people can actually get to the various areas. And what we could also do is put some stuff in here. So let's get this out of the way for the time being. We'll get a little bit of the walkway in there. So we want something that has got some form of trees and things, I think, shade or no shade. Maybe no shade. Let's go with something like this. This is a university path, which is going to make a lot of sense, I think. So let's start it off over there, and we'll run it. Oh, that's going to look quite nice, I think. There we go. So that's a part of our bus station operation over there. That's quite good. I like that. Let's do the same on the other side also. So we're going to try and make it look pretty natural. Now, what we'll also need to do is we'll need to provide some form of crossings as well. Bus stations like these do have crossings. Do they need bridges? Maybe they need bridges. But that's kind of the idea. So that's the intent of our bus station. And now we can do some bus station works and the likes over there. Okay, that's a good starting point for us. Now, in order to get it to look like a natural thing with some facilities, I'm kind of in the mood to use some of these park facilities. So if we say, well, what do we want there? We definitely want a bit of a restroom. So let's get a restroom in, say, this location over there, and maybe one on the opposite side over here. So using this, I think that's quite natural. Then there's also a bit of a park info booth that we can use right over here. And we kind of make it a little bit more symmetrical like so. I think that's about right. So that gives you an info booth. So it's kind of like the kiosk at the bus station where you can ask some questions. There's also some restrooms available, and we can put some other facilities in place also. That's kind of the idea that we'd be looking for over here. Now, what we also need to do is let's quickly get this road, and we'll continue this down. Right like so. And now what we need to do is provide a couple of places where the buses can actually access this. So what we'll do is we'll just do the standard road. And the question is, we can, of course, turn it a little bit like this. Or alternatively, we can have it on this side over here. I think it is almost more natural to have it over here in my mind. So we'll go straight for a little while, and then we'll just do a bit of free-forming to get it up to this road in question over here. And we'll do a very similar maneuver on the other side. So let's start it off with a little bit of a straight section. Like so. Actually, to be honest, this one can just do a straight run altogether. And there we go. Now that's our starting point for our bus station over here. Now, what we definitely need to do is make sure that we provide sufficient crossing facilities. I'm thinking about 3 of these crossing facilities in this location. So again, what we'll do is we'll use the node controller, and we could do a crossing facility. Maybe the 2 is going to be okay then. Let's do that, and we'll say this needs to be a crossing, please. We'll get out of there, and we'll do the other one. I think that's probably about sufficient. We'll do that, and we'll make that a crossing over there. We'll line them up on the other side. Yes, they're going to work quite nicely over there. We'll make this a crossing. And again, over here, we'll make that a crossing right over there. So now you can actually get all the way through. Now, the one thing that I do think we'll need to check at some point is whether people can actually move across from the one side to the other side. And so with that in mind, this is kind of the starting point of our bus station. I'm kind of thinking maybe we do some form of facility in here, or is it like going to be bus parking in there? Or because it's the turnaround at the moment, you can probably make it a little tighter. But buses generally, and especially if you're doing something like articulated buses, that becomes a little bit of a problem. We could also, of course, look at something like some bridges or things like that. But I think as a starting point, this is going to be about right. Now, is there any other facilities that we would like to squeeze in here as a bus facility? Would we fence it? Nah, I wouldn't think we would fence it. Would we create a little bit more asphalt in here is what I'm kind of wondering. Would you asphalt a little section of this to indicate this is a bit of a bus station? I think you probably would. You probably would asphalt it. So what I'm thinking is a good idea is let's go back, and I haven't thought all of this through. Let's go back here, grab the same pathways. And what I'm tempted to doing is going up to about this point. And what we'll do is we'll probably use move it, just sort it out. I'm just thinking, let's actually run the path all the way around. That's kind of what I have in mind here. And now we don't, well, what we could do, I close that one down. We could, of course, do a little bit of this. And come on, move it out just there a little bit there. Yeah, so we could clean this up a little bit like so. I think that could work. Again, what we'll do is we'll just do a little bit of this. And we'll see about cleaning some of this up. I think that's probably a bit of a more natural way of doing it. No. This can please go on the ground. I don't want you to be raising up or anything like that. If we do that, actually that works really well. We probably need a little straight section through there, and then we'll run it around that way. And we can use use move it to kind of end that off. So we'll go up to about there, and then up to about this way, and we'll get in there. Yeah, move it's going to work really nicely in this context, I think. There we go. So that actually doesn't look too bad. This side looks a little bit more horrible. I'm going to just redo this section so that we can have a very kind of singular way of dealing with it. Now, I know it's not perfect at the moment, and we'll kind of sort that out. So if I do this, like up to there, we'll get it in. Not quite what I had in mind. Let's do one more tick. Yes, that's the one up to about there. And what we'll do is we'll see about that. We should be able to sort that out quite nicely. So the intent here is now what I'll do is I'll go into another quick little time lapse and we'll quickly sort out these. So I would like to finish off this bus station as a priority in this episode. So into another little quick time lapse where I'm going to use Mover to just fix this thing over here. Okay, and I think that'll do for now. So that's kind of framed this area, and I might clean it up a little bit more. Now, the question that I do have also is whether we do another little stretch of these little pathways So if what I'm thinking is maybe another straight section. Ooh. Something like this. Well, I'd rather get it a little straighter than that. So if we kind of frame it a little bit more like this. Now, the question that I had in mind is if we then go and do asphalt in between. Now, that's a bit of a big brush there. So can I undo that? No, I can't. I can go back. And that actually makes, ooh, I don't want to do that. Anyway, let's go back. Let's make it slightly smaller. Now, this is the thing. So if I do the entire thing, we'll probably be all okay. I just want to make sure that we kind of edge it like this. Now, that's the piece that I'm a little wondering about. So if we do that, right? That feels like a bus station, right? That feels a little bit more like a bus station. So that's potentially something we can have a look at. So I think what we'll do is we'll also kind of clean this up again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop back into another time lapse, and I'm just going to quickly finish off a little bit of ploppable asphalt over here. Okay, so there we go. That's our ploppable asphalt. This is our bus station over here, and I do think it's looking pretty good. Now, so in order to make this a functional bus station, let's quickly grab one of our bus routes, our existing bus routes, and what we'll do is we'll just create an extra stop over there so I can kind of indicate to you how this kind of works. It's nothing spectacular. It's just a bit of... So what I'll do is it's this bus station that I'll have to drag out over here. So here we can have 3 bus stops on each side. So that means this station can accommodate 3 bus stands. So what we'll do is we'll just grab the first one right over there. We'll slot it in. Oh, it does get a little bit of an embayment. We'll have a look at how that looks now. And then what we're going to do is going to make sure that this guy actually stops there on the way in both directions. So we need a little bit of a turnaround over here, to be honest, to make that work. Anyway, now we have a bus stop over here. Let's pop out of this and have a look at how that bus stop is looking. I do like it. It means that there's enough room for people to pass. It's looking pretty natural. I do like the idea that we've got the asphalt. We might add a few extra props in here just because they're looking pretty bare at the moment. So maybe if we look at something over here, is there something here that we can add? Is some of these kind of, oh, this is brilliant. If we do this, but this is just a single, right? So if we just want to do this, look at that. So we'll just do some of these props like that. Nothing major. Okay, so we'll do a few of them. Wow, it's a pretty sizable area, isn't it? So we'll need to do a few more props and things like that. But that's the idea. Generally, you can use some nice props and fill it in like this so that the bus station has a bit to go on. Let's speed things up a little bit. Here comes our very first bus. Let's pause the game and let's take a ride on this bus, right? As it drives into our new bus station. Okay, here we go. Turning it in, going around. It's a bit of a weird view that we have over here. And then we're arriving at the bus stop. Here we go. It's looking like a bus station, to say the least. Going back out this way, popping out over this way back to the other side of the boulevard, University Boulevard, and then popping onto our bus lanes over there. Nice. I do like that. Let's pop out of there. It wasn't the greatest little ride along, but it's not bad. It's not bad. It was a bit of a quick one. Here we go. Buses happening over here. So if we add more buses to the mix, I think this thing will look pretty nice. So guys, I think that's where I'm going to leave it. I'll try and do a few more things like get the water and power and so on connected. And then in the next episode, we'll probably start expanding our university facilities around this. We actually have some people dropping off. I just want to see, do they just kind of stop there or is there any way to go? They just got off one bus and onto the next one. I would like to see whether all of our crossings and things like that are in fact working. We could get some other food trucks and stuff in here as well. I think, is there other stuff as well? Let's just have a look. If we go with some of the other parks, what kind of props do we have over here? There's some other bits and pieces, a few signs and things like that we could use. That though that is not maybe the best thing to do. Let's go over here. Any props over here? Definitely. What is this? This is like a food stall. I don't mind it, actually. I don't mind it. Says put like a food stall over there, and that's fine. Not a cannon. No way do we doing a cannon. But some of these kind of litter boxes every now and again, a few of them. We'll have to see. I'll have to place them in a little bit more detail around here. So guys, thank you so much for watching. I will finish off a little bit more of the detailing over here. But this is a kind of a natural bus station over here that is not an asset. Now, if you have a look at the assets that we could have had, the assets are smaller. But I think this looks a little bit more natural in terms of there's no real big buildings in here or anything like that. It depends on where it's at, of course. And if this is going to be a very low density, sprawling kind of campus, the central bus station over here could be pretty good. So I do in the end like what we've done with that. And we'll connect it to various things. And if we have like a stadium over here or something like that, a varsity sports facility or stuff like that over here, these buses could get pretty well used at some point. Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed it, please hit that like button. Please remember to leave your name suggestions in the comments down below. And I will see you next time. Bye-bye.